throne's mine. The future's here and it's my time. Straight shot, going for the head with it. Take his head off and say that I did it. Good riddance. Say hi to the bad guy, I'm back in business. If you took what's mine, I'm back to get it. There's nothing you can do, I'm back with vengeance. Now turn me loose. Now turn me loose.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I appreciate everybody for coming on through. This is Angelus representing for the Gray Pill Podcast. Let me get the warm welcomes out the way. Let's go down the list. Inky. Inky, we don't care if you came up or not. You had the cool little sexy was it the wall image, whatever. You're more than welcome. You already know that. And plus you said you're coming, so that's why we're waiting on you, because you said you're coming. Okay. Shout out to Inky. Appreciate you, Digby. Appreciate you. Don TZ. Appreciate you. Maribel. Thank you. And Happy New Year. This is going to be the last time I said it. We took a vote last week, so I'm forced not to say Happy New Year no more to nobody. All right. So yeah. Man of Tomorrow. Appreciate you, good sir. It says the answer is no, laughing out loud. I don't know. We shall see. Is the liberals and conservative is just the same, or is more similar? He's saying no. I don't know. It's gonna be a good conversation. Stick around for it. Who else we got up here? Knowledge and Soapbox. And salute to Great Pill Podcast. Appreciate you, good sir, like always. It said, what happened to the Matrix? The Matrix is always here, sir. Every time you log in, you're into the Matrix. Every time you plug in, you're into the Matrix. Every time you're on the Instagram, the TikTok, the Twitters, you are plugged into the Matrix, good sir. You are plugged into the Matrix. I promise you. So pick a pill. Pick one. I hope it's gray. Who else said I fumbled that franchise twice? It's all good. 12th man said, Big Ups Great Pill. Appreciate you. Thank you. Make sure I got everything out the way.
For those that's listening out there in the YouTube universe, shout out to Great Pill Podcast. Go holler at him. Hell yeah. Give him a like and subscribe. Go view his channel, if you will. Courtesy of Classic Lights.
All right. So with that further ado, we're going to bring out the guests. Wes, if you're in the clouds, good sir, I don't know if you're asleep or whatever, but we are here. Oh man, there we go. I hope that pleases you a little bit. Ian, we got a little bit of the Matrix code for you. Got a little bit of the Matrix code. So I hope that make you a little bit more comfortable. Oh man. What's going on, GP?
What's happening?
No. Happy New Year. I'm still not pleased with the name. I love the name because it's the brand, it's the channel.
I'm wearing the shirt. You can still call me Ginger, dude. I mean, that's what everybody still calls me AG. People still call me Angry Ginger. Tonight I just released a video, which Wes is going to be real sad they ain't here right now, because it's a video where they asked Trump supporters about building a wall to keep Canadians out. So, which you'd be surprised by those answers. So if anybody's interested in checking that out, you can check that out on Progressive Matters. The Trump supporters get asked whether or not we should build a wall on the Canadian border.
Now hold on. I have to promote my channel because I did something connected to that concept like last month.
Oh no, wait.
So
Elaborate.
Because last month, basically what they did was the right wing invented a terrorist attack. And so there was an explosion at the border, and they said that it was a terrorist coming from Canada trying to get into the United States to blow up the states. Therefore, Canada's immigration is just so loose and lax and blah, 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 and build a wall. That's when they started it, right? And then basically, like, you can look, I did the entire coverage. I showed the video, everything. And it's at the Rainbow Bridge. So you can just search my channel for Rainbow Bridge. You'll pull it up right away. Anyway, the point is that what they determined actually is that the explosion itself happened on America's side in Buffalo. First of all. Second of all, it wasn't even at the border crossing. It was like at a plaza that's like really close to the border crossing. And it was a couple who were on their way to Canada to go to a Kiss concert when they found out the Kiss concert was canceled. So they were going to go shopping instead. So pretty much not terrorists. But if they were terrorists, they were American born and bred white terrorists coming to do terrorism.
They were old white people that didn't know how to drive. That's what it was.
That's what, like, it was just,
that's exactly what
a married couple who were together.
So how did it come out to
decades.
terrorists? Like, how did it lead up to terrorism?
Because it's Fox News, bro.
Right.
Fox News, everybody's a terrorist for Fox News. It's called Fear and Hatred, and that's what fucking hardcore right-wing people are all about. Is something blew up, it must be a terrorizer. Okay.
That's what it was. It was amazing. Like, the narrative they started running with was amazing. Like, in instant one, and they were proven so wrong. Like, these, like, the amount of times that, like, governors, like, real people, like, it wasn't just like a bunch of like random like kids or something. No. These were like real people who were spouting this garbage, talking about how they've heard from inside sources and whatever, and blah blah blah. And then when the obvious, there was no terrorism. If it was Americans trying to blow up Canada, which still doesn't make any sense because that's not what happened at all. And then they just stopped mentioning it. And apparently, I guess now a month later, now we still need to build a wall at Canada's border, because they did the same thing with 9/11, around 9/11. Like, they've done this before. Right? They want to. I don't know why these people really love walls. They just really like walls. I don't know what it is. Like, dude, I am banned from America right now. I am banned from America because the lady at immigration. Remember, immigration, like, your border people, they're lawless. They answer to no one. So if they
border people,
our border people, y'all's border people, okay,
we employ them.
Y'all's border people answer to nobody. So. Like, literally, when they decided that I wanted to run away from Canada to be an illegal immigrant with no health care in America, like, they think that logically makes sense. I have free health care in Canada. I'm legal and Black, and guess what? Also, Black people don't get gunned down with alarming regularity by the police. Sorry, I had to say it. Here in Canada, they might beat us. But they don't have I feared for my life because everyone has a gun excuse here. So they just can't gun us down with alarming regularity.
They don't have an excuse to shoot you.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, perfect.
But why was I trying to run away to be an illegal immigrant in America?
Because you want the freedom, girl. You want the freedom.
Right, I want the freedom of being
We do have the good drugs.
Hiding.
Okay, we have the good drugs.
You do not. Most of y'all come up here to try to get the good drugs at a cheaper price. So, because even if it's not covered, it's
we have all the best. We have the best marijuana. So
we have the best. BC has the best marijuana. So that's
we're gonna have to fight that one out.
That's because Cali be on some whole next level.
Yeah, Cali got taught by BC, so they're like our BC's little brother. I'm just saying. Listen, I'm just saying.
Hey, stay out business.
Where's your best for this one? Oh, Christ.
Yo, we got we gotta make a day for the review your content and yours, JP, for that one, because that sounds very interesting.
Yeah, you guys, feel free. You can
that's very interesting.
I make, dude. Yeah,
that is crazy. And it was, what the funny part is, I actually found a ratchet Canadian space. Like, it just they polite off the chain. They were so off the chain. One was just yelling loud. I was on the platform, and then next thing you know, I was like, I just agreed with the guy. I said, I asked a question, and she's like, Grey Pill, you too. You need to stay out my bed. I said, I just asked her a question. Answer the question. She's like, now, wait, this is where, what she say we are? You guys are? She said, we're tribal or something because they Canadians or some foreigners, something. It was weird. So she said, and I was like, okay, all right. I'm just here now. I'm just here. So
were they Black Canadians?
white. She was white.
Now
Canadian.
white people sounds
Yeah.
like white people.
Yeah, it does. It did. Right? It did.
It was a whole gal shouting match, and one guy was just like, it was. I think he was low key gaslighting, but at the same time, he was like, hey. I'm just here to spread the love. I just want to be polite with everybody. Why can't everybody just be polite? What's wrong with you? That's all he kept preaching the whole time. And she would just get riled up. I was like, yo, this is my kind of dude right here. I like it. I like him. Killing kindness. All right. We gave some time. Inky, whenever you're ready, come up. You don't have to cam up. Wes is a little bit a day late, $1 short. If he's out, it's all good. So I feel like Ruby got a heads up with the petty game on him of this one. So she wins.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Red Lipstick. Appreciate you. 12th man said Nancy Pelosi loves wells. She has the Palisade built around a sewage of garbage. Oh, my.
Loves walls. I think he's going for walls.
Okay. Loves walls. She has the.
You're on the wrong side, bro. Liberals don't like walls, bro.
Oh, my.
We're not big on walls.
Hey, Celine. Appreciate you. Hey, Celine. Don't listen to nothing Tree says. All right. PS5 is in the future, okay? You want your dedicated man that's loyal to you, or better yet, if you have, that's the only disagreement I have with Tree. She made a claim, and I was like, hey, this ain't working. If you are a woman, okay, and you can afford what you can afford, and you say, hey, you know what, my baby deserves a PS5.
Oh,
buy your man a PS5. I don't care if he's a boyfriend. I don't care if he's a living boyfriend. Outside boyfriend, I don't care if it's the fiance or the husband, okay? If you got the dollars to do it and you say, hey, this is something I feel like to give my man, go ahead. But let me just warn you, Celine, you got some loyal men out there that we appreciate the heck out what you give him. So if you give him a PS5, okay? He will love you forever.
I agree with that.
And he will fight for you just cause. He will look back like, yo, that chick bought me a PS5. I'm swinging at everybody just cause. That's some blind loyalty right there. Some blind loyalty. All right. So I know she give her little takes to the women. I'm not gonna knock her for that. Let her give all the little, speak to the women. But when I hear some stuff that speaks on absolute, Grey Pill Podcast get a little bit triggered. All right.
But Tree's just saying that because she don't want her man to have a PS5. Tree doesn't want her man over there playing Call of Duty. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
She's trying to make sure she's trying to set a precedent.
And next time, if I don't have just remind me, Celine, if I have no life or not, you catch my stream, just say, Grey Pill, can you show me the stream of a married man whose wife gave him a PS5 and he showed it on the platform? All the men plus him giddy like little kids and happy, and then guess what happened at the end of the stream? He went straight to his wife.
Well, yeah. I mean, I bought my husband a PS5, and I don't not this year. I bought him a PS5 in the first year that they came out. I would literally stay awake when they would say that there's a drop coming. I would stay awake and try to get the drop. And so I got one of those where it's it was available for 7 minutes. It was a random drop. I just happened to be awake. 4 a.m. They announced it. It's going to be there in 3 minutes. And I was like, oh, I'm going in there. And I woke him up because I wasn't sure which edition I was supposed to get. So I'm like, babe.
See, Ruby's a keeper.
Which one were you supposed to be getting? We're supposed to be getting this digital thing where the disc, I don't know. The digital one sounds like, he's like, no, we want the one with the disc. Okay, cool.
That's right.
And that was it. And I got, and he had the 2 controllers. I got everything. Listen, I literally was on the search, okay, for months and months and months. I missed Christmas, right? Because that was the first Christmas that it was out. So I think it was February. I think I got it for him, or April. It was around his birthday. I was trying to get it though. It was, and I didn't care. Oh, it's $1,200 to get all this. No problem. Yep. Nope. Because he wanted the PS5. So I was getting the PS5. I was going to be the best wife ever, and that's just what there is. So you can say whatever you want. That's my
winning.
husband's very happy still.
That's winning. Yeah.
Right?
That's a keeper right there. All right, there you go. Also a married woman confirming something, right? So
there you go. 3 people on the panel all saying the same thing.
Right.
Last time we're gonna agree tonight, though.
Probably. To be fair, that's probably true. Yeah.
Till next time, say back channel, say back whatever. All right, so All right, so the conversation topic today is pretty much is liberals and conservative, are they similar, are they not? Reacting to Jubilee was a great conversation I saw back and forth with a lot of.
Whoa. Sorry. Hold on. Who's 12th man off-grid Alaska, USA?
Oh, he's from the Canadian side, a little bit trollish. So he said, talking about all the good drugs she
Are you sure?
can get. Yeah, he's a little bit trollish. He's on the
First, he
Canadian
said, "We
side.
don't want your drugs, cunt." Now, personally, for me, cunt is like my favorite cuss word ever. But I know he happens to be talking about me. So I'm
if
like,
you're
who the
not
fuck
Australian
is
or
this?
English, bruh, you can't use that word.
Who the fuck are you? I just didn't know. So I just wanted to clarify who's calling me a cunt in the chat because of us having a joke discussion amongst ourselves about.
Oh yeah, see, I didn't see that one. Thank you for bringing that out. 12, you got one warning, good sir. One warning. Mods, if another disrespect, just go ahead and time out for 5 minutes. After that, you already know what to do. Have fun. All right, so I had a conversation on Jubilee with who was it? It was I can't pronounce her name. It used to be Unapologetic, but she changed it to her actual name is Amala.
Amalia.
So,
or
yeah.
Amala. Yeah.
Amalia. So I appreciate that. Also, Dusty was on there with a lot of other people as a guest. So it was a great conversation. I got you. All right. So now you're banned. So there you go. On to the next. So with that being said, so they had a great conversation about liberals and conservatives with a random bunch of questions. So this is how we're going to have the conversation for today.
Did you ban Big D?
Oh, my bad. I did.
Did you?
It was the wrong person.
In the comments. It's like, what?
Oh, my bad. He was actually support. He's actually support. My bad, Big D. I'll bring it back.
He didn't do anything.
Drive by. Oh shit.
Wait a minute.
Sorry.
He was being nice.
My bad, Big D. The wrong person on the high from the chat. And he's so loyal too. My bad, Big D.
Right?
He probably Okay. Okay. I see what he did. He took care of it for everybody. So I appreciate you, Big D. Let me just make sure he's still in here. Let me type.
I'm just imagining being him being like, wait, what the fuck did I do?
Dude, Grey Pill just came in there swinging the sword. He didn't care who got hit.
For what? You don't even know.
Somebody got clipped.
All right, there we go. We're good now. All right, so back to it. Apologies, Big D. All right, so where was I?
Oh, did he say something racist too? What's wrong with people, man?
Yeah.
You can't just have a good time. Like, literally, we hop on here to have a good time. That's what we're here for. If you're on YouTube for any other reason to have a good time, you should get off YouTube.
Right? We'll get into some therapy.
And speaking of fine, there you go. Appreciate you.
Pinky!
What's going on, Inky?
That is a picture.
I was gonna say, is that a picture?
I feel like it's live though, so it's enough for me. Happy New Year, darling.
I love you.
I love you too. I'm so happy you're here. Okay.
All right, it's a new year now. We got an extra love in the building. Extra love. All right, so we came in, so we're pretty much reacting. I pretty much kicked the wrong person, but the wrong person got the right person. That's pretty much where we at now. So my apologies, Big D. Thank you for staying loyal. All right, so where was we? Okay, cool.
The left and the far right are equally problematic.
Okay, you're good there.
Far left and the far right are equally problematic.
Okay, so that's pretty much the question for the day. So for the chat and for the group, do we agree that the far left and the far right is equally problematic? And I go with me because I'm not too much political, so I'm learning as I go. I would say yes. I think every side is very extreme. Depends on what their issue, their topics, their struggles is, and I'll leave it with that.
Okay, well, I would say that they're both problematic. I don't think I would say they're equally problematic, right? So if you look at the far left versus the far right, the far right, in essence, would terrorize and exterminate people for just existing, right? Whereas in the far left wants to terminate and exterminate those people who would bother people for just existing. So the far left, in essence, then wouldn't be acting unless the provocation happened, right? So like there, I'm like, okay, no, I think that the far right is worse, right? But then you do have the far left that's very confused and does things that I would say are actually harmful by going so far to the woke side, or well, we got to be accepting side, and da 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 da. So I do think that they definitely are harmful, and I do think that they're definitely problematic as hell. I just don't think they're as problematic as the right, far right. Not all of the right, but the far right extremists. Yeah.
Okay, Inky, your thoughts?
I believe that anything to an extreme is toxic and is very damaging. So that's just my opinion. I think both sides have their issues, and it's too bad that they can't agree on more. So there's more middle ground, um, and then they have their specifics that they're more set in their ways. Where the conservative side is, versus the very liberal side. But they do take it to the extent of where it becomes a battle, and then it takes it into real life with, people on the streets and businesses and etc. It's just in schools. If you have kids, you'll understand what I'm saying. Yeah.
All right.
There's just some
Good.
things that I don't think that should be acceptable in a school setting. Can I use an example?
Sure.
Okay. I have no wrong with the LGBTQ community. Should that be introduced into our children at the age of 5? No.
When you say introduced, what do you mean? I just want to
So,
clarify.
giving the child an option to claim whatever they want to be at the age of 5, when their little brains don't even know they should be playing house and with cars, and they shouldn't have to make a choice on how they identify. You're not from California, I know that. So from here, where I'm at right now, it's freaking absurd.
Well, it's just because most children start self-identifying earlier than 5. Like, so I mean, I'm just saying, like, I hear what you're saying, and if like there's a difference, I think, for example, because I do think that there are cases where the school system is like, or not the school system, but just generally that they are going too far with certain things, right? But in the case where, like, for example, schools are willing to respect a child who says, I'm a girl or I'm a boy, even though genetically they were, born, or XXXY, or they were born with a penis or vagina, whatever it is, because we generally don't know people's chromosomes. Right. I don't see that that's problematic if they're self-identifying and the school is willing to give that respect. I think that's different than, for example, I know that there's a school, for example, that, like, there's a story called Baby X, and basically the school wants to run that way also. So it's like the kids come there and it's like, you don't have a gender until you're old enough, until you've hit puberty and whatever, you just don't have a gender. So it's almost like they remove children's gender identities and everyone is a non-gender until they're old enough to be able to identify and truly understand what gender means. I think that's fucked up, right? Like that's problematic, because then you're taking away children's autonomy and identity. Like, a child's telling you how they feel and what they feel, and children, they're not stupid. They know, right? And that is problematic when you're taking that away from kids. But I think it's problematic on both sides. I think to take that away because you're like, well, no, you were born with the penis, so you're a boy, and I don't care how you feel. I think that's also problematic. So I actually respect the schools that respect the children, because it helps the children a lot. So.
I say you can respect them, but and this is me and my brain. Kids supposed to go to school to get educated, not to sit there and try to self-identify.
Right.
Obviously it's for the doctors when they, come out. Then after that is pretty much the parents to help you, guide you the best we can. At least understand the healthy mentality with most children, because we know today it's like, obviously it's media out there, so many crazy influences. Try to direct them in a proper way. But understand now, if a child is showing some signs, I wouldn't say, beat them into submission to do to be one way,
My parent, yeah.
but have a conversation, like, you know, and if they still feel a certain way, like, hey, a legal age 18, 21, just my opinion, hey, I'm still here to support you regardless. This is
Well, and I think, I'm from California, so I can speak to this. I find that the claims of children being indoctrinated are completely exaggerated. I have 2 young children. I have never experienced a single time my children being indoctrinated or pushed to disclose any type of gender or identity. I am very active in my
Do
children's
you live in
lives.
Northern California like I do? It sucks up
Yeah,
here.
I do live in Northern California. Thank you. I do. And I actually live in a very liberal part of Northern California, not the Republican portion of California. And I do not experience that at any point. I have many friends that are teachers. None of them, I've had these conversations with them because, of course, I'm concerned about it as well. All of them say none of these things ever happen. When it comes to the education of children and gender, it's generally in high school. It's never at an early age. I think that it's exaggerated. My personal opinion on the subject, what was the subject again?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, the question is, is the far left and the far right are equal problematic?
So being that I'm from a very liberal city, I would say that actually a lot of the far left went over to the far right during COVID, because the far left generally is the very conspiratorial. Big government is bad. Government being involved in your life is bad. Big pharma is bad. Vaccinations are bad. All of those things, and my job, actually, my profession, puts me kind of right in the middle of all of that. And I actually had a very front row seat to watching those people go over to the right, go over to the far right, which is what I consider the Trump version of the right. So I would say personally that extreme on any case is bad. You really shouldn't be pushing people that far out on the fringe of any issue. The answer is almost always right in the middle. It's almost always balanced. When you talk about a society that's 50-50 here in America, we tend to skew more Democratic, more left. Young people are much more progressive than they've ever been before. But you still have to live with 40 to 50% of your country being on the right. So I think anytime that you're saying everything should be exactly your way, you're probably making a mistake, because you're going to be causing a lot of problems. So I think extremes are bad. I think people should be trying to find balance, and they should be finding ways to work with each other across the aisle.
All right, fair enough. Back to the video. And Jubilee, I'm ready for you this time.
3, 2, 1.
Before I start, I'm sorry. Shout out to Lotus. Lotus, there's a link in your DM, your Discord DM. No pressure. If you're more than welcome to join in for the conversation, because she is also a resident of California.
I've actually seen both sides. I'm a gay conservative, and I have seen the far right chastise me for my sexuality, and I've seen the far left chastise me for being conservative. I've had my own address put on the freeway here in Los Angeles because they feel that my voice should not be out there. So I see the two sides actively doing harm to those of us in the middle who have a really rational voice and want to express ourselves in a safe way. I appreciate it.
Anybody have any response to what this gentleman said, or we can move on to somebody responded to him?
I think that's his anecdotal evidence, so I don't have a problem with his experience. That's what he's experienced in his life.
Okay, Inky.
I agree. Everybody should have a voice. It just shouldn't be subjected to children.
Children and to make it clear,
wouldn't even know. My whole thing was that when you're raising your kids and there's no he, she, I identify as this or that, or it is not, people don't feed into those comments. Like if you have a little boy and he's 3 and he's like, oh, I feel like a girl. Well, you can dress up and, play house and do whatever, but you still have male chromosomes.
But you don't know that.
Well, you do.
But you don't know that. You don't know
You
that
do.
your kids have male or female chromosomes because, again, intersex children exist. And we don't know. Oftentimes, intersex children are not actually diagnosed, as in we don't find out that there's a chromosomal anomaly until there's a medical reason to look into it, right? So you don't know if your child who was born with a penis has XY chromosomes, XXY chromosomes,
They test those at
XXX
birth, honey.
chromosomes, some other type of disorder. You don't actually know that. All you know is
She's
that your
saying
boy was born with a penis.
They test those at birth.
No, they
I mean,
don't.
at least they do here in the United States.
They do not test your chromosomes. They don't. In
Yeah,
fact,
they
we
do.
only recently we've only recently had the ability to do that, and we have been for a very long time, for like as long as medical modern science has existed. We have been absolutely at birth, when children are born in between somewhere, we have been medically correcting that at birth, so that way kids can fit into the binary that never actually existed. And a lot of those kids, they told the parents to lie to the kids so that way those kids never feel confused, even though those kids oftentimes felt very confused their entire lives growing up, because they were told, because they have a penis or because they have a vagina, well, then you're supposed to feel this way, and they never did. So actually, it's absolutely not true. You don't know that your boy has XY chromosomes. You just know that he was born with the penis, and they went, it's a boy because he has a penis.
I have to
That's it.
disagree with this one. I love you, Ruby, but I have to disagree, especially when you've done IVF like me. Yes, my kids are test tube babies, and I made sure that I put XX babies in there or XY babies in there. I mean, and then when they're born, they get their blood checked.
vitro.
Yeah, but
You
what
had
I'm
in
saying,
vitro. In vitro is not what the majority are, or is not the way that the majority are having
but
children,
you didn't let me
right?
finish. And I said, and then they get their blood drawn. I don't know about in other countries, but I know that my children's blood were drawn and they were specified as what sex they were. Well, plus with the last two, I knew what they were because they were put in that way.
All right, before we beat that with a dead horse,
I was gonna
obviously
ask
that's
anyone to feed
yeah,
this.
we can come back that's later and fact check that because right now we're just giving out both different anecdotal experiences. So we'll come back to that because somebody said Google it too. Marcus, if you have
I know what I've been through.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. At this point, it's like, yeah, I know I haven't been
old.
through it. So, yeah, so we'll come back to that just to fact check that.
I don't
So,
know what my kids' chromosomes are, to be honest with you.
Most people don't.
I'm
They can
human.
test
Just
them at
like
10 weeks old.
I'm just saying I don't know.
They
I'm
can
not,
test
I'm not
them,
saying
but
they
they
don't. I'm
don't.
just saying I don't.
And it's not standard.
Well,
You would
we'll
have
come-
to pay for it. Most people would not electively
we
choose
are
to
we
pay
are
that
saying we
cost.
will
It's
come
not
back.
free.
Yeah, we are saying we'll come back to fact check that. We will come back to fact check that.
The like anecdotal experience that you had, but like I think my issue saying that like liberals are more problematic, like I think everyone is.
What I talk about in my anecdotal incident is where I have never had a conservative physically attack me on the streets for what I am or who I am. They may verbally attack me. I've got that from the left too, but the left has physical attacks on my physical being out on the streets because I'm expressing myself.
So I mean,
that was pretty much what my point is. I do agree with the whole extreme part, but if he's witnessing his extreme, that's why I can't really challenge his experience. But just for me, in my opinion, always on both sides, whether you go far left or far right, there's always one individual or cluster or group of individuals in that subsector always take some things to the very extreme. It don't have to necessarily be you, and you're a lefty. You might be the type of lefty like, hey, I'll go vote, I'll pay my taxes, I'll sit in the house and probably rah. Same thing with the right. But there is type of people that goes out and just do these protests, and it doesn't be peaceful as it's supposed to be, or there's some kind of activists that go out the way and it'd be more ridiculous. It's like, why are you even out here? So that's what I see and I agree to.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
The opposite for myself. So like, you know, like experiences, as I said, anecdotal, like,
Right.
you know, like your experience completely valid, but to say, oh, liberals are like, you know, worse.
Right.
Like,
Well, it's not that there's no one worse, which is why I didn't move to strongly agree. My anecdotal experience tells me that there is a group of people on both sides that will do active harm to someone who steps out of their expected narrative.
I feel like for when we
I agree.
January 6th.
100%.
I agree.
talk about political extremes, I think one, there is a lack of desire for bipartisanship. The second thing is this kind of like playful attachment to facts. People on the far left and the far right, whether we're talking about Israel-Palestine or vaccines, people seem to have like very fun activities in terms of just completely making stuff up regarding these two things. And then the third thing is the demonization of political opponents, where people on the far left and the far right engage in this idea that the people on the opposite side of the aisle, they're not just different or have different ideas, they actually hate the country, they want to destroy us.
You know, people get labeled as extremists just for.
Do we agree, disagree to what Destiny said?
Yeah. What he's saying there is actually incredibly important, because it's a real problem with the polarization of our political parties nowadays. I myself have very progressive values. I don't tribalize myself. I don't consider myself part of the progressive party. I don't consider myself strictly a left-leaning or right or an independent. I'm a registered independent, but that's more principle than anything else. When it comes to something like the political polarization that you see that's happening through, the mainstream medias of Fox and CNN, you start to see, more and more aggressiveness from the hardcore left and the hardcore right, because that's your team. It's like me being an Eagles fan, right? Like, I meet a Cowboys fan, it's like, oh, immediately I don't like you. Okay, well, that's not how I roll. Like, I love football, I love baseball, I love basketball, I love sports in general. But just because you like the team that's opposite of my team, we can have a good time, we can joke about it, but I don't actually hate you. That's ridiculous that anybody gets to that point, whether it's politics or sports or anything else. Being tribal is a bad idea. And what he's saying about the extremes of the left and the right, and how they polarize their opponents to the point of saying that person's going to destroy America, that's a really bad look for America, because you can't get rid of 50% of America. You're not going to just all of a sudden live in a society that's only left wing. You're never going to live in a society that's only right wing. So you have to be able to find a way to live with each other. You have to be able to find a way to reach across the aisle, and you have to find a way to like kind of come to, some type of solution that works for everybody.
I think I agree with you saying. I think people make stuff a little bit more personal when the little, the tribal things, and I'm guilty of it too. Like, everybody knows, just on a platform, I'm on the collective of, F Pearl, right? Like, screw her. I don't care about her. I have my reasons. I have my reasons for it. I feel like they 100% valid. If I see somebody like, oh, ducking on Pearl, hey, I'm with you too, but
even in that scenario, even saying that you dislike Pearl, which I dislike Pearl too. We're in the same team, same tribe. But if Pearl came out, if there was like a young black dude that just, wasn't doing anything wrong, and the cops just beat the crap out of him, and Pearl was like, that's wrong. We could all agree with that, whether or not we like Pearl or not, whether or not Pearl's my person or I dislike the things that she says. I can still look at what she says and agree and go, oh, no, like, actually, she's right on this issue. I don't normally agree with her, but here I do. And that's what it comes down to with politics, is like, I'm pro-choice. Most of the people on the right are going to end up being pro-life. We're going to disagree on a lot of stuff when it comes to pro-life, pro-choice things, but there's certain things that we will actually agree on when it comes to pro-life and pro-choice. So I just think that extreme tribalization is it's bad for everyone.
It is, because it goes so wrong so fast, so quick. We'll get back to the video. And that, I got a lie, that's 100% true. Celine says it's so funny how the whole world internet will put our differences aside, say, hey, yeah, man, it's like cancer.
Everybody hates Pearl. Right? No, but you know what? I think the problem is we don't know how to disagree without disrespecting each other. And that's what I like about the people on this panel. At the very least, I can say, for example, everyone knows that me and Inky disagree about this. Like, me and Inky know we disagree on this subject, like that we just disagreed on again today. We know we disagree on this subject hugely. And there's other stuff we disagree on. But every time I see her, I go, oh my God, thank you so much. Because I do, right? Like, we disagree on this one subject. Right? Or we might disagree on other subjects. It doesn't matter, though. It doesn't mean that like she's a bad person because we disagree on this, right? We see it differently. We have different perspectives for our different lived experiences. And it doesn't mean just because you fall somewhere else politically or morally or ideologically, doesn't mean that the people who are on the opposite side of that are bad people. And it doesn't mean that the people who are on the same side as you ideologically are good people. And I think that, that tribalism, that concept, that idea of, well, if you're over here, then it means you're good. And if you're over there, it means you're bad. I think that that is like the most basic, but also stupid concept. And that's the reason why it makes it so easy for people to then turn around and do horrible things to people who lay on the opposite side of the ideas scale from them, right? So I think that if we could kind of change that and be like, hey, we disagree on this. We're both valid human beings and we're both good human beings. We just happen to disagree, and that's okay. It would make things better.
Yeah, one of my mods, Marcus, him pretty much, we're like 60-40, sometimes 50-50 on a lot of stuff he'll bring to my table, even with a lot of conversation, but it'll be a conversation. And that's pretty much it. But if we're like aligned with something, like the 2 and 2 debate, we demolished, Rico and brother C on our first 2 and 2 debate here in the Grateful Podcast. Yeah, we can come together, So I agree. All right. Jay had a question. I hope it's not a trolley question because they get me sometime. Can she explain why Destiny is a voice to listen to? Who said that? It was on a panel?
Who said Destiny was a voice to be listened to?
I mean, I'll say it. I didn't say it, but I will say Destiny is somebody that you should listen to, because you should listen to a lot of people. You should be taking information from lots of different places. And if you want to be honest, Destiny says things that I dislike, because I think that sometimes he's a little too bombastic. I think that sometimes he's out for clout too. But to be honest with you, he's actually really, really well researched. He's very well informed. He's corrected himself when he's been incorrect. I mean, if we're holding him to the standards of what we hold our current media to, or if even we're holding him to the standards that we held it back in Reagan's day, when there's actually regulations on media, I would say a lot of the things that he says are not dishonest. I don't know that he's always correct, but I would say that he's at least not intentionally dishonest. He speaks his mind. He has opinions, and it's your job. It's not his job. It's your job to make sure that he's correct, to go out and look at the things from different points of view and come back with an answer to whether or not the things he's saying are right or wrong.
Right. And yes, Jay, we should listen to Nick Fuentes. We should listen to both people on the thumbnail. I listen to both people on the thumbnail. So I mean, I listened to Ben. I listened to the entire, whether you're talking about extreme left, extreme right. I talk to people who are a little bit more reasonable left and right. I obviously listen to progressives because my value system tends to align more with the progressive, but not all. Right. I also listen to centrists, right? And then I listen to a bunch of people who are so anti-politics, it like hurts. So yeah, no, that's actually literally, yes, you're supposed to listen to all of
That's how you get your information. Because like I said, I didn't know who Nick Fuentes is except for the whole Pearly thing. I had to listen to him just for the content, but at the same time, why I'm listening to him, if he was saying stuff to me that I wasn't aware of, I would just instantly just believe him just because he said it. You know what I'm saying? So you have to listen to all parties to get your information. Like, this is not 100% right. Let me add some more intel to it. Let me add some context to it. Maybe this is what he really meant versus what he's trying to say. So a lot of people does stuff like that. So you have to pay attention to that a lot too. When most people, because I watch a lot of honestly, Angry Ginger is pretty much my source of political talk. Especially when you're ranting at the politicians that are doing the stuff to do, I'm like, okay, cool. It helps me understand it and break it down a little bit more on my level than anything else. So, and I can come back like, okay, mate, I know a little bit more, but doesn't mean I believe everything you say. I can go run to somebody else and they'll have the same kind of conversation. Like, okay, then it might add a little bit more to it or lack of it. I'm like, hey, well, this person say this person say that. And I'm big on the Google, so I'll look it up and get my own thing of it too. So
I would never tell anybody to just listen to the things I say. At no point should someone just listen to the stuff that I put out there and just agree that it's correct. They should always fact check me. And to the point of the Nick Fuentes thing, I know that might have been a troll or just a joke on that person's part. But to be honest with you, the reason that I can make Trump supporters' arguments better than they can is because I do nothing but shit on Donald Trump all day long, every day of my life. And that's because I know everything about all of his policies. I know all of the things that he's actually in trouble for. When I say that the dude is guilty, it's because I've looked over every one of his indictments. I've looked over every one of his 91 felony charges. I've listened to all of the conversations, all the phone calls. And to do that, that's the way you're supposed to do things. You're not supposed to just have these opinions on things where you claim you're correct and you've never actually researched or looked into the information. Sometimes like I said, I can make the argument for a Trump supporter better than they can, because I actually know the things that he did that are actually commendable. I can look into the things that he did that aren't racist or whatever you want to hold against him. I've done more research on Donald Trump than Trump supporters have ever done in their entire life.
Exactly, JP. See, and that's what gets people into cults. CJ, that's where people get messed up. They avoid, like the plague, the opposing side, the side that they think is bad or evil or whatever. They avoid it like
easier
the plague.
To hate them. Yeah.
So exactly. But then what ends up happening is they'll hear something that the other side says that's actually sounds pretty reasonable and kind of tracks with stuff and that's how people end up joining these cults. That's how people end up getting into these extremist ideals. It's because they had no idea that some of the ideals are built on some things that are valid, and then the logic breaks down somewhere, and they have no idea how to fact check that. They have no idea how to hear the persuasiveness or to examine the persuasive arguments that are being used, emotional appeal, so on and so forth, right? So that's how you end up getting dragged into cults. That's how you end up being thrown into the extremist sides. It's not by you listening. It's by you avoiding it like the plague until accidentally you hear it one day and suddenly you're like,
oh, I got a question. So this new cult is out. Are they drinking out the Kool-Aid too, like the old cult? Or no, the old cult was drinking out the little plastic cup. The new cult ain't doing that.
Didn't they have like a barrel? There was a barrel, and then they all dipped their cups into it, right? Isn't that how it worked?
I thought, all I know is I saw like a red plastic cup. Everybody threw one chug and it's just laid out. That's all I remember.
Can you imagine how much sugar was in that barrel? That's all I'm saying.
Well, remember, they don't tend to kill off their followers until they're about to get raided, indicted, whatever, right?
Jim Jones,
that's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it is.
When the feds are coming.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
Being pretty centrist based on our small conversation we've already had here. I don't think anyone here is extreme.
No.
But going down the street, you might get labeled a crazy leftist or racist. Or
I had to take his shirt off for real.
My man rocking the Trump shirt. Get him.
It's interesting because when answering this prompt, I sort of hesitated. I've been on both sides of the spectrum. I used to be what I would characterize as a radical leftist. Now I'm sort of right of center, and I feel like I get characterized as a far-right extremist quite a bit. So I was thinking, what does far-right even mean? Because so many people who I deem to be reasonable are characterized as far-right, and I'm sure people on the left feel that very same way. I've gone and spoken to different campuses, both as a leftist and as a right-of-center individual, and I've never received more hatred or people trying to cancel my events than coming to those campuses as a conservative speaker.
Well, hold up, but isn't she said on campus, so she's at a college, right? This is a college, right? So aren't those the most extreme people I'll be seeing? Because like colleges just they'll get like one little thought in their head and they'll just run with it and then do a whole deep dive on their side of whatever little arguments, and then that's it. Because I've seen Destiny argue, well, not argue, but debate with a lot of people on campuses that would challenge him all the time. So, all right, that's weird. I don't know. I just feel like
she said she used to be radical left, and then she complained about being characterized as being far right. It's like, well, generally people that have tendencies towards extremism on either side tend to bounce between. They don't go from being radical left to moderate right. Generally, it's usually radical left to radical right. It's more of a personality trait than it is just, if you're generally an independent, if you're generally somebody that likes to ride the middle ground or the fence, and you're indecisive, then you're generally in the middle. But if you're a radical person, if you used to be on the left, I would guess that most people would also consider to be radical right when she went over to the right.
No,
I don't know her.
I would love to hear her. I would love to hear her reasoning for doing that dramatic change, because she's saying extreme this and then extreme that. So I would love to hear her reasoning for.
Well, she's full of it, but she's like Candace. So And this is what ends up
Yeah.
happening is, right, people like to characterize the left as something it's not. And actually the left
Amala,
is
don't do no
very
hit
much
piece on us. Don't do no hit piece on us. All right, we
Oh,
already had.
definitely do. But
I have a
the left,
conversation with
that's
him.
definitely
We
do that
should
hit
find
piece.
out a
Come on.
conversation with him.
Great Pill Podcast. I'll be on you.
Yeah,
Okay?
come on
Progressive
up, come on up.
Matters, right?
Me and Ruby will talk.
Just don't make no song out. Hey, just retort to the actual conversation. Don't make no songs out of it. But go ahead, Ruby.
Yeah, but no, but what I was saying here's the thing, right? What ends up happening, right? So in the case of Candace Owens, again, she's the best example that's really overt to tell you why people go from the left to the right. So what ended up happening is she was a staunch leftist, extreme leftist, right? She even fought and won for her leftist rights, right? But then what ended up happening is she thought she was going to get celebrated by the left because she was going into the extreme left, and she thought it would be perfectly okay for her to make a database to dox the right. Right, all those far right and middle right conservatives that you don't like their opinions. Yeah, well, she wanted to be able to dox them. She wanted it to be an organized database with their home address, their kids' schools, everything, whatever you could put in there. And the left said, hell no. The left bucked. Okay. It wasn't the right, it was the left that said, hell no, we're not supporting you doing this. We will shut it down. We're going to shut you down, Candace. You're wrong. Okay. So all of the talk that Candace talks about, she was bullied by the online left and whatever. This is what she's talking about. She's talking about when the online left fought tooth and nail to stop her from creating the doxing website. Okay. And so what ended up happening though is she was a name and a face, enough of one, right, with enough of a following, and the right loves when this happens because now they're going to pluck you out of almost obscurity, but you have enough followers, right, and you're black and woman, great, and they're going to pluck you out of obscurity and put you on the circuit and make you famous. If only you say the right treated me better than the left ever did. And that's what ended up happening. And that's the same thing that happened with Amala, right? Like it happens over and over and over again. You being a black woman talking about the left and leftist stuff and whatever, no one cares. You are never going to be popular for that. I know, trust me, I've been doing it for 10 years. No one cares. You want to make a name for yourself, you want to make a career out of this, you better switch to the right. That's just what it is.
Because the left is still populated a lot by minorities and stuff. The right is something like 70 or 80% still like old white Republicans, and so when you have whether it's LGBT or women or minority, any of those people are going to be accepted over on the right with open arms because it helps to kind of keep away from that stereotype that they're racist, that they're homophobic, all of these things. So, but the problem with that is that you literally have to join up. You can't just go over there and be yourself. You have to bring in the ideology. You have to espouse the beliefs. And once again, like I'm saying, I'm not saying that there's no problems on the left. There's plenty on the left. In fact, there's a lot of self-hate on the left. But when it comes to things like doxing and stuff like that, it doesn't matter what side you're on, whether you're left or right. No one should be taking things to that extreme. I don't know if you guys know about it, but they have that movie coming out here this year for the Civil War 2024 in America. And it's all about the American War, Civil War in 2024, what it would look like and all this craziness. And it's like, it should never be to that point. But if we allow extremists to continue to push us further and further out to the fringes and more hateful, and we keep like dividing ourselves and pushing ourselves to these extreme ideologies specifically for money, because these people aren't doing it because it's their values. They're doing it because they're going to make money off of it. Candace Owens isn't doing it because she believes this hard about the right. Like you just pointed out, she was on the left for a long time. It's because it's what's going to make her successful.
The current thing, my bad. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, the current, like I did a lot of information I'll give me I wasn't aware of. The recent one that had me look sideways is Candace, and I'll get back to the videos where she was actually promoting and supporting Andrew Tate, and I did not understand that at all. At all.
And like I said, she'll sell her soul. She doesn't care. She's willing to do whatever it takes to make money. She doesn't believe these things. She just wants the money.
Right.
Because
the trad side is anti-Andrew Tate and anti-Red Pill. They're not on the Red Pill side, right? Ben, all those guys, they're not on the, and neither was Candace until she was, right? Because again, she is for sale, absolutely for sale.
All right, fair enough.
Well, do you think that's because some of that rhetoric causes a lot of harm on the right side? Like a lot of like the things that are being said maybe in those talks like can have like lasting impacts on those students when you're on those campuses. So like, you know, and in the other way, like the conservative students might not like care as much about, you know, like, oh, like progress is being talked about. Like, you know, like I think like there's
perfect example is Dylan
different.
Mulvaney just spoke at the University of Penn. They are free to go and have a talk. Conservatives didn't come out and try to cancel that event. They didn't threaten staff. They didn't blockade the entrances. They let that event go on. Amala goes to speak, and there's rallies. They're pulling fire alarms. They're attacking the attendees. There is extremism.
I'm sure that there is,
that's
but
a terrible
I don't think
example. Dylan Mulvaney, literally, people attempted to cancel Dylan Mulvaney over getting a Bud Light can, a commemorative Bud Light can sent to her. That's a terrible, terrible example.
I'm so glad you said that. So glad you said that.
She didn't get canceled talking on a college campus, but literally an entire nation of right-wing conservatives lost their goddamn minds, not because they actually created a can, which they thought happened. They thought they were going to have to buy the rainbow can. Oh my God, I'm going to be caught with a rainbow can in my hands. No, literally, it was just a commemorative can that was sent to her. And they boycotted, canceled. Kid Rock shot up a 12-pack. You know what it's like for a white trash person to shoot up a 12-pack of beer? That's like losing a child. Okay, that's big stuff right there. All right?
For Canadians, yeah.
I can say that because I'm from a trailer park, so I know this. But I'm just saying that's a horrible example. He might have been able to come up with better examples. You could even say horrible ass people like Nick Fuentes going on campuses. You know, obviously they get shouted down. But a lot of that is also the consumer. Colleges are mostly liberal, left-wing kids. You think that a bunch of left-wing kids are going to embrace Dylan Mulvaney coming on their campus and talking? Of course they are. Are they going to embrace Nick Fuentes or Andrew Tate coming on? No, they're not, because it doesn't represent their values. So once again, it's a consumer-based thing. They didn't want to drink the Bud Light in the rainbow can. They boycotted it. That's what they wanted to do. The college kids don't want to hear Andrew Tate speak on the college campus. That's not what they want to hear.
For the record, it was the opposite 20 years ago. So 20 years ago, the Andrew Tates would have been celebrated on all the college campuses because then it was cute. Remember when all of the grape jokes, like we didn't say grape, we just said it with the R word. And that was the funniest thing ever, right? And the Man Show and all those shows, like that was what was popular. Actually, and that's what college kids liked. And they would not have been cool with the all sexes grape and these extreme feminists and whatever. That would have been that would have been stoned out of there. So I mean, or no one would have showed up and it would have just been like 3 people in the seats, right? So like it's also trendy in a way, right? College is a place where you're trying to find yourself. You're trying to like it's
know
not
your
like,
audience,
right? You know, it's not like, oh, that's representative of all of society. No, it's representative of a bunch of kids trying to figure out how to become adults. That's why they go there. That's why the right goes there, because they can trample them, because they're very emotional, idealistic kids who can very easily be tripped up and really aren't really great at rebuttals or anything like that. They don't have life experience. They don't have debate experience. They don't have political experience. That's
education.
Why
they're literally there for education.
They're really right. They're there to even start that process. And that's why the far right goes there. So that way they can look like they're really, really great at debating.
Man, you gotta fake it till you make it. Gotta fake it till you make it.
Dylan Mulvaney is the right person to use for your example because of how much
she's a leftist.
She's a leftist, but she's also had her life threatened on multiple occasions.
Right.
She's had to move around a lot because her address continuously is doxxed, and she wasn't even speaking at any sort of event. She was given a free Bud Light can, and her life was threatened.
I think something that's really important to keep in mind, given the entirety of the show.
That's why I said it was like perfect timing when you said that, because it's like.
Glad she brought that up.
and you know what? That's a perfect example of what we said earlier about the. You got to hear all the conversations from all sides, because you would just take one side of it. Like this guy, if he just said that and they were just like nobody said anything, they just literally took his word for it. Versus what you said and what she said. Look, you can easily look that up now. Like it's there. This is the reason why. So this is why you got to have the conversations, or at least, the very least, hear everybody else's point of view on it. And you can fact check it if you like down the road. So there you go.
Actually, is when we talk about like canceling or attacking people, the reality is if you have the power to do it, you will do it. And on college campuses, the prevailing thought right now is generally progressivism. So if they can cancel or if they can bully conservative speakers off campus, they'll do that. But then right now, because conservatives don't have power on college campuses or in some forms of media, they'll say, well, the left is pro-cancel culture. No offense to conservatives. You don't get credit for saying, well, we didn't try to cancel somebody on college campus. Yeah, that's because there's like 10 of you. You couldn't do it even if you wanted to. Like, obviously you're not doing it, right?
I think there's way more.
I think everybody agreement on that statement.
Yeah, I don't agree that it's okay. I would rather that we allowed people to speak, but you are speaking to your consumer. If the college kids don't want you to come to their campus, then maybe you shouldn't go there because there's not enough people that want you there.
Fair enough. But they're extremists. You got to get the word out. Got to get the message, the mission.
Or conservative students that I think people actually give credit to, but maybe they feel like they need to, harbor those beliefs internally rather than, espouse them out loud. And I will say, any conservative who wants to shut down an event or a speech, I would wholly disagree with.
Nothing to the subject. I hope she's not wearing the red top to match Janelle Gorton, and also to insult communities out there in the world. So I just want to throw it out there. Say the red flag. Pearl sent her like $100 super chat a while ago. So that part.
Oh no!
I'll tell you, I'll be out there.
Oh no!
The question is for the panel in the chats. There should not be limitations on free speech. We'll give the chat time to respond to that. Should not be limitations on free speech? Inky, if your mic is available, if you want to answer that question. Should there be limitations on free speech?
Okay, if not, you have to type it out.
Keyboard
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can
hear you now.
Yeah, I got it fixed. There should be limitations. You should just be able to say willy-nilly.
I agree with that. Yeah, that's pretty much short and sweet for me too. Yeah, it should be limitations, especially doing work, libraries, heck, even sometimes public places. You just can't just run around screaming. But to be fair, we have, and I'm thinking Lily of a crackhead down the road. he would say all the random stuff. I'll just ignore him. He would probably even not incite violence, but say something that like a normal sane person would say it. I'm looking at it like, I gotta come now, I gotta approach you. But if I see somebody like that, I'm like, it's not that serious. So yeah, I agree 100%. It should be limitations, but if we're talking about governments, I don't think they should be the ones to put limitations or sort of thing. I think that should be like a morality within just humans and society, because we know disrespect, and respect is a lot. So that's my thought on it.
Yeah, holding each other accountable. I'm pretty good with the restrictions that we have on free speech as there is, because there are restrictions on free speech as it is now. You can't tell somebody that you're going to harm them. You can't threaten. There's certain even I can't remember if it was in America. Maybe it wasn't in America. Maybe it was in Australia or something. But there was a gentleman that continually harassed his black neighbors over and over again, and he just received something like 8 years because it was seen to be like over the top. Even classic liberals would agree that that freedom of speech is incredibly important. Classic liberalism is that people should have the right to, freedoms to allow themselves to be as happy as possible. So I think the left and the right agrees on that. I think the right kind of overplays the fact that they think the left is always trying to control. The ironic thing is the right constantly tries to use 1984 as an example of that, which George Orwell was a democratic socialist. So that's kind of a moot point. You can't really use a democratic socialist to prove your conservative values. But as far as whether or not I think like we should go any further I think what we do now, I think the market decides. If I'm okay with conservatives saying they're not going to drink Bud Light anymore. That's, you know, at this point, they can't listen to Green Day. They can't drink Bud Light. They can't shop at Target. You know, like at one point or another, conservatives are just going to have to live inside of their trailer and, you know, just drink, you know, really shitty, like natural ice or something like that and eat hot dogs because they just hate everybody and everything. And that's their choice. I'm okay with that. Boycott as much as you want. Say you don't like as much as you want, but you know, obviously there's still some restrictions on free speech, and I'm all for those.
Fair enough. Ruby, do you believe there should be limitations?
I think that limitations, no. However, there are consequences just in general, right? So as in, you're allowed to say whatever you want. You're allowed to do whatever you want. If you want to go out and you want to kill 5 people, you can, right? Like literally you can, right? But then there's a consequence for you killing 5 people, which is you're either going to get the chair, or if you're in a state where that doesn't exist, then, you know, you're going to be.
Oh, okay.
You're going to be like, there are consequences for your actions, right? And so when people say that, you know, for example, you have freedom for you to do what you want to do with freedom, yeah, and liberty, sure, right? You can literally do whatever you want. But that doesn't mean
What did you do to her voice?
I don't know.
You're in your mic.
Yeah. Hey, I think when I did the cut, the little cut-in scene, somehow it's like it distorted your for a little bit.
What does my voice sound like?
Okay, you sound good now. Yeah, you're good now.
No. What did I sound like?
I don't know. It sounded like it was faded a little bit. It sounded just a little bit distorted, just a hot minute.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, let's hope that just okay. Basically, what I'm saying is you have the I think you should have the freedom to say anything you want, but that doesn't mean that there won't be consequences for you saying whatever you want. And do I think it's right for there to be consequences? Especially when there's consequences because you chose to say or do something that harms others or that elicits harm to towards others. Yeah, absolutely. I think there should be consequences for those actions, right? And so I think that's kind of how I see it. I don't think that we should limit speech, but I think it's fine that we don't limit speech, but at the same time we say, sure, if you say it though, here's the consequence, because you're not allowed to just you know, in a polite society, you're not allowed to do things to intentionally harm others, right? We make those things illegal.
Yeah, and one thing I will add, and I guess it already exists, but there's obviously free speech, you know, is limited in your workplace. As a manager of a store, like my employees can't go up front and say whatever they feel like. You know, like even to be honest with you, like as political as I am, I don't espouse my political opinions at work. It's just not a proper place for it. And if my boss were ever to catch me doing it, they would have all the rights to terminate me, to ask me to leave the business. So there are certain places, but like I said, those restrictions have already existed, have always existed. I just don't think there needs to be any change to that. And the reason I say that is because when we talk about like Fresh and Fit being removed from YouTube, I know that everybody kind of got on their high horse and we're like, this is like, you should be allowed to say whatever you want on YouTube. No, you shouldn't. I've been banned from YouTube. I was banned from YouTube for saying that QAnon people were insane and that all of the rhetoric that they espouse about people being PDF files and, you know, that they have zero proof about, like, is hurtful and harmful. And that, you know, like, and I literally got banned for calling them out for calling other people for touching children. And so that was their right, to be honest with you. I got my channel back through discussion, but if they didn't give me my channel back, I go on with life. It doesn't change much for me. I just go on doing my thing. But it is their platform. It is their right to have this platform. It is my job to operate under terms of service if I wish to be here.
Which is why, again, since he speaks so much about the American way, again, that's part of the being American way. If you do something outside of, not outside norm, but if you just put content out, I am fair to react to and say, hey, I disagree with this, or I agree with this, and here's why. And then that's it. So I agree.
System. It's an amazing system.
Welcome to America.
In Canada.
In Canada too. Thank
In
you.
the free Western world, anyway.
I'm sorry,
Not
West was.
Iran.
No, I'm thinking of West real quick, but I saw I don't got time for the banter out.
On free speech. 3, 2, 1.
Okay, I hate this prompt. Because we all agree that like direct calls to violence are not acceptable. I imagine
Right.
we all agree like you can't scream fire in a theater. Otherwise, I think that like there should be Nazis on college campuses, like doing their ideology. You should be allowed to say basically whatever rhetoric you want, as long as it's not like violating the terms of service of the platform. I do agree that vaccine misinformation is harmful. I do agree that misinformation relating to conspiracy theories is harmful, but I don't think the proper way to go about addressing that is to lock it all down and to ban it. I like the steps that YouTube has taken where they might put a note under the video, or what Twitter, or the social media platform formerly known as Twitter, called X, is taking, where they have like the community note system.
I was thinking that
Let's get to Jay. Do you agree or disagree to what Destiny just said? Since we was all about the don't listen to the Destiny cult. So what and this is to the chat and the panel. What Destiny just stated right there. Do we agree or disagree to his statement? Because I agree. That's pretty much what we just expand on just a minute ago. Inky, Ruby. I'm sorry, Inky. You had some papers. I had muted you. Inky, do you agree or disagree to what Destiny just said a minute ago?
Can you repeat that?
Sure, I would love to. This is for Jay too. This is for you, Jay.
Because we all agree that like direct calls to violence are not acceptable. I imagine
Right.
we all agree like you can't scream fire in a theater. Otherwise, I think that like there should be Nazis on college campuses, like doing their ideology. You should be allowed to say basically whatever rhetoric you want, as long as it's not like violating the terms of service of a platform. I do agree that vaccine misinformation is harmful. I do agree that misinformation relating to conspiracy theories is harmful, but I don't think the proper way to go about addressing that is to lock it all down and to ban it. I like the steps that YouTube has taken where they might put a note under the video, or what Twitter, or the social media platform formerly known as Twitter, called X, is taking, where they have like the community note system.
I was thinking.
There we go.
I agree.
All right. Ruby, JP, agree, disagree?
That's pretty much what I just said. So, I mean, other than the part about the notes and stuff like that, like
Okay.
I just feel like, yeah, the market will control it. Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Ruby, agree?
I mean, I agree. I do think again though that platforms have the right. I mean, if I own a business and part of that business is allowing people to come on and speak their piece, that doesn't mean I have to now become like a public space, right? It's still my private business, so I'm allowed to shut down whatever the hell I want. But I would they're like I don't like the way people refer to like places like YouTube, for example, or Twitter or whatever, as though they're public spaces. That's a private
Yeah.
company, that a
Yeah.
private company owns. Like it's not a public space. You should be allowed to go stand on the sidewalk though and say whatever the hell you want. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Or
Wait, Ruby.
college campus. But
yeah.
not
The fact that these people constantly say that, like, if they get to, like, Myron and Fresh and Fit, they're like, but you're taking away their voice. It's like, you can go outside. Do these people not know that they can go outside? Did you know you could actually do this old school and go talk to actual human beings? That's a great point, Ruby. Because like, how many people feel like, oh well, if I get banned from YouTube, if I get banned from Twitter, if I get like, oh, how did Reagan do it? How did Clinton do it? How did George Bush? How did all these other people?
They was actually outside talking to the people.
How did Obama do it? Like, what do you mean I have to get out of my chair? Like, you want me to go into the world? If anybody has a reason not to go outside, it's me. Okay, I get sunburnt if the sun is even peeking through a cloud. All right, and even I know that. Like, that's a great point, actually.
All right, good. All right, I appreciate you. Shout out to Army Vet, appreciate you. It says shout out. Cellulite, appreciate you, good sir. Says hey, appreciate you. Thank you. All right, back to the video.
The very same thing as you. Of course, there are certain things that you cannot do, even with free speech being present. And I'm not sure how you define hate speech. So with some of the hate speech laws that are coming about, I think those need to be reevaluated and maybe rolled back, because even people who we disagree with or we don't like or we view as evil should still be able to espouse their beliefs.
Right. For example, right now, what's going on with students on campus, I don't agree that Congress and other individuals should limit what students are talking about on campus, what's going on in Gaza, what's going on in Israel, with the crackdown on JVP, the crackdown on Students for Justice for Palestine. The people who are in power should understand that students are the most, I would say, abrasive when it comes to speaking out against injustices.
I'm a free speech absolutist.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of got lost in what he was saying, but what point he was making?
You're talking about this gentleman here. He was saying that he would rather see free speech being a little bit more free, even as a leftist, because this is something that actually is very important for left and right wing. A lot of times, people won't admit that they have a dog in the fight. If I'm allowed to still say that nowadays.
How free do he want it?
Well, he's saying, like I said, this is generally somewhere where the left would be like, like, oh, are Nazis allowed on college campuses? No, you shouldn't be allowed to do that. It's hate speech. It's hateful rhetoric. But then when you look at something like the Hamas-Israel conflict, which I'm not even going to attempt to get into, but if that's a very important topic for college kids, and specifically college kids on the left, and I'm not speaking for the entire left, just so you know, but the ones that are being portrayed in the media are people that are pro-Palestine. So a lot of that, in their opinion, is being shut down by colleges, saying that they're not allowed to have these, which I don't know that that's true or not, if it's exaggerated or not, but that's what he's espousing, is that that pro-Palestine protests and speeches are being shut down on college campuses. Therefore, he thinks that, in some way, the freedom of speech is not as strong as it should be on college campuses. That's what I got from it.
Okay, fair enough. Shout out to Sincere. She says asking people to be aware of social culture factors around them is fair, but to control one's thought processes and expressions of thought is tantamount to undergoing to
lobotomy.
Thank you.
Right, yeah, I agree with that. I think most of us were saying that we all believe in free speech, but we don't believe that you should be like controlled in that sort of way.
Fair enough.
I think that there should be repercussions to certain free speech, but it's a constitutional right, and yeah, that's where I stand with it. I don't want any apps being banned. I don't want people being banned from certain apps, and I think there's an attack on our First Amendment right now.
Can I say something about that real quick?
You think no one?
Yeah, go ahead.
No apps being banned. I think, okay, the Epstein thing just happened, and I thought that everybody was gonna like actually have a come together moment, and that didn't happen. Still, with the polarization in our goddamn society, any app that harms children. And I do mean that. I mean, I'm not saying like it's Grand Theft Auto. I'm talking about like anything that is meant to legitimately sexualize or harm children, in my opinion, should not be allowed. That there is a limit to free speech. I cannot be an absolutionist.
But like the apps, it's not even about that's not about free speech. That's not about speech, right?
Once again, that's
free
a business.
Speech, in the case of NAMBLA, free speech is allowing you, like we allowed that Asian kid, I can't even remember what the hell his name was, but he had a channel where he sat and talked about man boy love and how it should be allowed. And YouTube,
they got a YouTube channel. I'm sorry, because this is another YouTube with a woman promoting I'm sorry. It just literally hit my head, but it's some weird stuff somebody put back on YouTube is promoting some to raise kids up to be okay with to other identities that they're not even not, and then they got little puppies and stuff. It's so weird and disgusting.
Right. So you can talk about whatever. I think, well, okay, here's the thing. First of all, if the platform wants to ban anything you're talking about, they're allowed to, because again, the platform is not a public space. Okay. It's just not. It's a privately owned company. Even if it's a publicly owned company, it's still not a public space. Like outside, the park is a public space. But beyond that point, again, if we were going to say, well, this is a public space and you're allowed to say what you want, talking about man boy love is one thing. Demonstrating man boy love is a crime, right?
Yes.
So you might disagree that it shouldn't be a crime, but as long as it's still a crime, you can't say, well, if you shouldn't limit my right to man boy love here on this website. No, because it's a crime. We should not allow you and just do as much crime as you want. Like, no, that's not the way the world works. So I'm not sure why it is that we have this confusion somewhere where it's like, oh, well, they're just deleting apps left and right because of words that you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
no.
I have a question.
Sure.
Are you talking about like man boy love, like a man and someone under 18?
I'm talking about, NAMBLA, the National Association of Man Boy Love.
Okay, so if that
or North American Man Boy Love Association, that's what it does.
Okay, so if they're able to just discuss it anywhere, wouldn't that be normalizing it and then cause conflict in the future until the point where you now have you have websites where they're called oh, hold on, give me a second. They're called minor attracted adults.
Minor attracted persons.
Yeah, that's the
and that
new
again, it's
version of-
normalizing that, and it's not putting it set to where people understand that that's not okay.
No, see, that's not true, because whether or not you talk about it or you don't talk about it, it has been happening in society for as long as there's been a society, right? So the only way that you can truly make sure that everybody knows that, no, this is not okay, and here's how it's not okay. This is how people, again, get tripped up, because if they've never heard someone just talk about it or whatever, they might get, oh my God, well, they made a point. That does kind of sound like this, that, or the next thing. No, they didn't make a point, right? And the only way that you'll know that they didn't make a point, that no, this is predatory, this is not an orientation, is if you have the opportunity to talk about it. And so that way, rational minds can sit there and kick it down onto the ground and spit on it where it belongs, right? But if you never talk about it, then what ends up happening is it's the idea is never challenged. But guess what? These kids, these teenagers, whatever, they're going to find someone who's willing to talk about it, who is going to talk about it, who's talking about it in the shadows, right? So you allow people, you allow free speech to happen, so that way publicly things can be challenged.
What is man boy love?
Well, basically, it's the National Association for Man Boy Love of Pedialyte, we'll say again, because a lot of these words are banned by YouTube, right?
Right.
But that's
so
what
again,
it is.
by them being able to have a voice and say, oh, well, we're into this thing, that's trying to, again, normalize it, which is, it's going against everything that is natural.
Yeah, but whether or not they talk about it, they're doing it anyway. Right? Like, I think that's the thing that
I get that, but what I'm saying is if they banned them from being able to do that and say, hey, this is not
they're
right.
going to do it more. Then
hold on, so are you, can I?
Ban them, hold on. If you ban kids from having sex, you just say, no, you're not allowed to have sex. Guys, I don't mean like man boy love. I mean, I'm talking about just kids, like teenagers, right? You guys
Put a
can't have
chastity
sex,
belt
right?
on their rear end.
When you say there's no sex
I'm
allowed,
just saying.
But when you say there's no sex allowed, whatever, you know what ends up happening? The teen pregnancy rate skyrockets, the teen sex rates skyrocket, the teen STD rates skyrocket, and that's still right now in this era, right now in 2024. You go to places that are being taught.
That's because we don't teach moral values anymore. We don't teach wait
no,
till you're
I'm
married.
talking about in places where it's abstinence only, because these are the Bible Belt states where it's all very hyper religious. Guess what? Teen pregnancy rates skyrocket, teen STD rates skyrocket, teen sex rates skyrocket, but also the sexual abuse rates skyrocket. The sexual
parents,
abuse
in my
rates
opinion, have
skyrocket because
that
kids
is
don't
their
know that there's
responsibility.
anything wrong. So kids can be by adults in their lives, they can be sexually assaulted and whatever, and someone can tell them, well, this is of God, this is that, and they have no idea because they haven't been taught anything. So they don't speak out because they don't know there's anything to speak out about, because their pastor just told them that this is of God and this is a godly thing and this is how they pray to God and this is and this is how they have to atone to God and whatever. So again, this and the rates go down as education goes up.
Micromanaging their children, helicopter, call it whatever you want, but my kids aren't going to be alone with no damn pasture.
Right,
either.
but
If the pastor's not preaching something I agree with, my child's not going to be there.
of course the pastor is preaching something you agree with. Do you think in the Bible Belt they're preaching about, hey, you know what? I should be allowed to sexually assault all your 12-year-old daughters. Like, no, they're not preaching that, but they're
Shout out to
doing
the
it.
Pope.
I was gonna say my kids ain't gonna be alone with any pastor, period. But but yeah, I
right.
hear what Inky's saying, and I think there's like a middle ground there between what you're saying. Inky's actually like kind of hitting the nail on the head there, and that is Ruby. If I understand what you're saying, is that the education that they're deriving from seeing these things, from hearing people talking about it, right? Like that's what's going to keep them from falling into these like traps with these PDF files, right? Like that if they see it because it's out there, it's just like the same idea of like allowing free
Stop exposing
speech and
themselves.
racism is like, yeah, they're exposing themselves as being racist. So you can have the like, I won't know how to argue against racism if I don't know that people are racist and their reasons for being racist. Is that what you're trying to say? Like,
Right.
same
Nor will
thing.
I know to avoid racists, nor will I know to not put myself into certain positions, because when people use certain types of words or look at me in certain types of ways, and that maybe means danger to me, right? So yeah, knowledge is power.
Yeah, and so what Inky's saying is, and I like what Inky said too. I like what both of you are saying actually, but what Inky's saying is that's the parent's job, and that is like one of my biggest tenets, right? Is that my children are my responsibility. They're not the responsibility of teachers. They're not the responsibility of society. It is my job to educate them and spend time with them. And I know that that's hard in today's society with two parents and two jobs, but my wife works 40 plus hours a week. I work 40 plus hours a week, and I still find time to like involve myself in my children's lives. Anytime that there's a failure of education, I feel like it's a failure on my part.
Yeah.
In fact, I think with COVID, we actually recognized, and I don't know that everybody did, but the value of teachers in our lives, because of the fact that we had to realize, oh, well, hold on, one of us has to be home with the kids all the time. Well, to be honest with you, that's really the way it's supposed to be. Is we're supposed to be the ones imparting this education. I myself have, been physically, mentally, and sexually abused as a child, so I talk to my children about those things openly, because I think like hiding that and keeping that knowledge from them is very detrimental. Like, why should I go through that and then allow my children to go through it too, because I don't want to talk about it? So instead, I'm very open and honest about it, both as I am here and with my children, because I can explain to them the things that have happened to me in my life and how that happened to me. And I actually fully agree with both of what you're saying there. Is seeing it and knowing what's going on, very important. And a parent's job of exposing the children to the knowledge on their own in a safe environment, also very important.
So, but I think that that's key, because the problem is that the parents often, I'm not saying Inky here, I'm saying the parents who are against certain types of education in schools and whatever, they want to protect their children, protect their children's innocence, and so on and so forth. The problem is if you're not educating the children, when they're and you're not sharing this. And now again, there's age appropriate ways to tell them things, right? I remember when I was like 5 or 6 years old, my parents had a video called Feeling Yes, Feeling No. It was really weird, awkward video, but we sat down. First they let me watch it kind of like by myself, and then we watched it again together, and it was like a discussion piece, right? And so the point is they didn't want the school to teach me this, but at the same time they weren't going to send me to school without me understanding that there are adults out there that they might touch you on your shoulder, that's nice, or they might want to give you a hug, that's nice, but if they do this and if it feels bad, because your gut will tell you
You can't even use
right,
the thing that
okay.
it feels bad, Ruby, because I will tell you this from dealing with psychiatrists. The psychiatrist told me, JP, I know you might get triggered too, because I've been through what you've been through, kids have, etc. The kids don't know it's bad. They don't know it feels bad, because it doesn't feel bad all the time. Sometimes it feels good to them and they don't know it's bad. So you can't say to your kid, well, if this feels bad, that's a no-no spot, because it doesn't. You're a woman. They're still kids. Even though they're kids, it still feels good sometimes. And it sounds sick, I know, but the therapist, psychiatrist, whatever you want to call her, told me that, and I about puked everywhere.
I'm not talking
because it wasn't
about
something
feeling
I
good,
wanted
like
to
as in,
accept.
I wasn't talking about pleasure, like as far as, oh, well, because I mean, little babies can orgasm. So I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is, like, for example, kids are born with like an instinct, like it's sort of women, but like kids have that instinct of that person's bad, they mean me harm, I shouldn't be around them, or the feeling yes, feeling no. There's literally, that's what it is. There's a feeling, and you know when someone looks at you in a way, and you don't know what that look means when you're 4 or whatever. You don't know what that touch meant when you're 4, right? But there's things that make you feel a way, right? It's a negative feeling. But again, when you're told to ignore those things, you're just a kid, you don't know anything, or shut up, or I need you to this and that, and you're not educated that, hey, you know what? There's adults out there who might mean you harm, right? And so let's talk about now with these adults that might mean you harm. Here are some indicators, right? But just in general, anything that feels no to you, anything. If they're telling you, I told you, you tell mommy and daddy everything, and they're telling you you shouldn't, and that feels no, you should come tell me, right? Like that was basically the message, right? Now, again, does that mean it's going to catch every single possible case and what? No, right? But the point is that when you give kids zero education, and you give kids zero anything, they have no tools. They have no tools to arm them against anything. All they have is, if they are attacked, all they have is the person, this predatory person, who is normally really great at shaming and terrifying them into silence, right? So that's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that just hearing about the man boy love association, that is not going to make more people predators and whatever, right? But if you've had that conversation with your kids and then they hear that, they're going to go, oh, those people are dangerous. They said the word NAMBLA. They said they're in NAMBLA. I'm logging out of there. Nope, I'm not talking to those people, because that's a dangerous place to be, because I know what that means. I know that means that they're a bunch of grown people and I'm 11 and they wanted to have sex with me. That's wrong, right? But if they don't even have that frame of reference, they don't know it's something to avoid, because there's so many damn acronyms today, PETA, this, that, whatever. How would they know, right? And that's what I mean.
That's the first time I heard about that too. That's the first time I heard about that too.
NAMBLA. Yeah,
that's crazy.
I think I've heard the word before, but to be honest with you, I never actually knew what it meant.
Yep.
It should be banned from platform.
Absolutely not.
So like someone calls me like the F slur, you like leave them.
Yeah.
Why?
I get called
Because
out
that's
all the
their
time.
right to say that. Now, you can.
Amazing. Oh. That was amazing.
That goes for a playback. He's like, yeah.
So like someone calls me like the F slur, you like leave them.
Yeah.
Why?
I get called out
Because
all
that's
the
their
time.
right to say that. Now, you can. There should be measures taken away. Like I said, there.
Hey, welcome to America. Sincere, you don't have to apologize for nothing.
don't
It's a chat.
apologize.
Yeah, you're good. It's not that
Yeah.
serious. You're having a conversation. It's part of the topic of conversation. Everything said, you can respond, react to it. Unlike the other guys shooting the slur of the cut words, that's something I don't allow. Not Inky, but Ruby got like a 50i faster than I am. So if she sees it, and it's gonna get addressed. All right. So that's what we don't do here. All right. So he get that timed out. I'm good for freedom of speech, but everybody know on my platform, I don't do that. I don't play games.
TOS,
like that.
bro. TOS.
Yeah. They know better. I'm good with the trolling, the jokes, and all that good stuff. But you calling somebody, like, I think the last matter of fact, I'm just having flash. I'm thinking of Jack for some reason. He's gonna live for a long time. He asked somebody in my chat, and I felt so bad. I had to apologize to her and the next day, but I haven't seen her no more. She came in chat out of nowhere, reacting to something that Jack out of nowhere is like, she's stupid. I'm like, how is she stupid because she voiced her opinion? No, she's not stupid. You're stupid for saying that she's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we don't do that here. You can spam as much you want, Sincere. So there you go. Back to the head not on the video.
Are repercussions to certain speech. I don't think the platform should be able to remove them, but I think you should have the right to block them like we already can now, because I've lost 3 Instagram profiles just for saying, oh, I don't think children should have sex changes under the age of 18. accounts gone. Like I've lost thousands of followers and stuff for just saying things that I think are just common
I do have a
sense,
question for you, actually.
Yeah.
All right. Do we agree to disagree? I mean, again, we're back to freedom of speech. So I don't really agree to disagree. It's like, but if again, it's come back to, was it accountability to some degree? Like if you're saying certain things or certain platforms, it morally, yeah, that's kind of effed up. But I don't know. It's said.
Terms of service is terms of service, and maybe that's because of the fact that I've been a manager for over 20 years. Maybe that's my bias, but when I enter into a contract with any business, whether it's YouTube or my profession, whatever it is, I agree to operate by their terms of service. And if I violate their terms of service, they have the right to terminate me. I as well have been banned from Instagram. I lost an Instagram one because I made a meme that was a joke about the BBC, and it was not at all graphic or vulgar. It was very, very subtle, and it was an innuendo, and I got banned. And you know what? At the end of the day, I was like, "Yep, well, guess that violates TOS," and I made a new Instagram account. They weren't stopping my, it's not like some kind of shutting down my entire voice. Like I said, Ruby made a great point. If you get banned from YouTube, go outside, bro.
Facts. And trust me, May, I took like 2 months break, but I wasn't timed out. I was like, hey, let me go touch some grass real quick.
Right. Don't get banned. Go outside. Half the problem with society is that outside.
I had a ball. When I came back, I was hearing all the good news in the tea. I was like, oh, okay. All right.
Because I can understand why, like, hearing a word like that is harmful, and it's not something that you want to deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you rather know who's homophobic, though? Wouldn't you rather know who's racist?
Yeah.
These platforms have the right.
Yep, that's pretty much the whole point earlier. I agree with that.
Yeah, but I have to add in a little bit of a thing, because number one, the F slur is a word that used to mean cigarette and is in certain old school songs. So like when I was like in the 5th grade and we did like a sleepaway camp, the F word slur was in that, right? Like the 3-letter version, right? Was in one of the songs. It was like a kid's song because it just meant like a cigarette, right? But it was just like, or it's like, it was British slang until very, very recently. And I remember like we used to call everything gay. Like, that's so gay. And like,
yeah, that was a thing.
Yeah, but it wasn't like a horrible word. It was just like, oh my God, you're so gay. Right? Like, and you would say that and it had nothing to do with gayness. Like, it wasn't trying to say you are a gay person or you like the same sex, or it had nothing to do with that. It was just like a thing we did when we were like teenagers. We called everything gay. Like, oh my God, you're so gay. Oh my God, that's so gay. And it was just like, it was like a ribbing. So I think part of my brain is a little less responsive to these words than I think maybe the younger generation or
I'm
the
all about
new generation is, because
I'm
we used
about-
to do it all the time.
Yeah, I'm about context. When it comes to stuff like that, I'm about context, like how it's said, how the joke was said, perceived, or whatever. So, and two, people and everybody's still different. So when you say it, I might get it and understand it, and I'll move on. But some other people, usually from my experience, it's always the elderly. If you just say it, they just don't get it. A friend of mine, her children, again, same thing like how JP was saying. She's very close to her kids with the music they listen to, everything. But somebody else, like myself, she might like send me a video or something of a music. And I'm like, yo, I don't get it. I don't understand it. I think it's just like trash music. But it's like, hey, this is something my children listen to. I approve it. It's okay. I actually listen to the lyrics and the words, and she'll probably dance and sing along with it too. To me, it just sound like cats hitting a nail in chalkboards and stuff, but to each his own. So I agree 100%. I agree.
As private businesses to say what they want on those businesses. It's not cancel culture for them to take down slurs. And honestly, they're not that great at taking down slurs anyway. Because I get called on a daily basis on
Bruh.
Yay!
Every day I get called, and like I said, things that are actually emotionally a problem for me. Every day on every social media platform, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, there is a constant flood of people saying negative and messed up shit to people every day.
Jeez. I go lie. All right, I guess that's the magic word for the day. Shout out to Traveling Fools. Appreciate you coming through. Friction Eviction. Appreciate you. Friction Eviction. You have email. Welcome to the Great Pill Podcast. I swear to God.
Online just for being a Jewish person.
The unfortunate thing is this internet and social media has become the town square. And the town square, if you were to take a box and
It's not? I'm sorry. I apologize. Helping out Jubilee just a little bit. I know how they do.
put it in the town square, there is no limit on what you can say. And who's to say the city's going to come down and say, you use the word and we're going to take your soapbox and you can't ever come back to my city? That's exactly what you're doing when you're saying the platform has every right to remove this language.
You have the option.
No, Ruby already made this argument. If he doesn't like that his voice has been taken away on YouTube, then he should go to a different platform. There's Rumble, there's Twitter, there's Facebook. Everybody has social media. And let's just say everywhere he goes, he gets banned. First of all, you're doing something wrong.
Right.
Okay? That should be your sign. Second, the real world exists. Stop being a lazy piece of, because you're literally blaming the rest of the world and tech companies for your laziness. Because you can get up and you can go out on the street, you can join clubs, join meetings, you can find people, you can go to the goddamn bar and sit down next to whoever the hell you want to and espouse whatever crazy ass belief you want to. That's the best place for it. Like that's a horrible argument. It's the town square and you're taking it. What do you say? It's like the city taking the town square away from you, so you have to go to another city. That's a terrible analogy. This guy sucks at analogies, just so you know.
It's just like not though.
Yeah, not even close. Yeah.
To go to another platform. The's plenty of
So we have an option to go to another city then.
There's plenty of conservative platforms.
Now you have no free speech.
You have
Bruh.
free speech because you have so many
free speech
options.
I think we have to be really careful when we talk about the concept of free speech. I like the concept of free speech, and I would defend that across multiple platforms. That's fundamentally different than the First Amendment. The First Amendment has nothing to do with like the concept of free speech. The First Amendment prohibits Congress or state or local governments from making laws specifically abridging your right to freedom of speech. Like hate speech laws don't exist in the United States because there's not hate speech. Hate can be an aggravator to an existing crime, but we don't outlaw certain types of speech. Twitter does not have a legal obligation. It's a violation of their First Amendment right to say they have to host whatever type of speech or tweet that somebody has on the platform.
And a hate crime.
Exactly.
Do you agree? Disagree?
That really
kind of
pisses
goes
me
back
off.
to
Yeah,
Ruby is
yeah,
saying.
that's like Ruby being called a cunt. Like it doesn't apply to me, so you're done. Go somewhere else. If that TOS rules doesn't apply with them too, go somewhere else. I mean, that's it.
You know, his point about the free speech law too is actually a pretty good point. I've heard him say things like this before, where like when you talk about things like Hillary Clinton's emails, people like you always kind of come to this point where you go, well, they didn't have the amount of evidence necessary to take her to trial. You generally have to have, you know, a percentage based off of what the mandate is, and that's like, you know, whether it's like probable cause, without a shadow of a doubt, all of that business. And you know, when you have this argument with people, they go, "But doesn't it seem shady?" And you go, "Well, that's not enough," or "Isn't it weird that?" That's not enough. It's not about feelings when it comes to actual things like free speech and the amendments and such. The law actually really does matter in how it's actually processed, you know? So what he's saying, if I get it right, is he's saying that the First Amendment is not meant to in any way really protect free speech. It's to keep the government from creating laws that inhibit free speech on the government level. Whether or not people do that, like, you know, on Twitter or Facebook, that's not covered by the First Amendment. That's at least what I took from that.
Yes, because it's, for example, the right of newspapers to print the truth of what's going on in the government, the right of the people to criticize the government, the right of the people to tell a cop to go F himself, right? these are all free speech things that are often in countries that don't have free speech that are severely limited, right? You say something about the current government, you're going to prison for decades till you die. Like they don't care, right? And so we don't recognize the difference between that and then your right as a private citizen for you to get whatever you want from my privately owned business. And what drives me crazy about this is the hypocrisy, right? Because currently on the right, that's what they're complaining about. The right is complaining about they're not allowed to say whatever they want on YouTube or Twitter. Well, not Twitter now because now it's X and it's owned by Elon, whatever. But their right to say whatever they want on whatever platform, right? And so their issue is they're not allowed to say whatever they want on whatever platform. You're limiting my free speech. Like, who cares that these are privately owned businesses? Who cares, right? Like, doesn't matter. But they will fight to the death for their right to not have to make a wedding cake for a gay couple. So it's like it's the same thing, and they just can't get it through their heads that if I made a company, whatever it is, it doesn't matter if billions of people want to use it around the world or not. The point is I made it. So I'm allowed to make rules for how people exist on that thing.
I think
if you don't want to follow the rules, you don't get to use my thing. Oh, wow, this is not the government. This is not you being limited by free speech. I made the thing. So I'm allowed to make the rules, just like if you made the bakery. If you don't want to make cakes for gay people, you shouldn't have to. The end.
I agree with that. Yeah. I'm consistent.
I think the
exactly too.
I think with that being said, I think most people stuck on the fact that not, anybody that's American, you're American, so ergo freedom of speech. So that American built this, so American got to still have the freedom of speech across the board. I think that's what a lot of people have that disconnect with that.
But they don't believe that because they think that they shouldn't have to make the cake for the gay people. So they don't believe that at all.
They're not
right? They just want the right to do whatever they want, wherever they want, and to limit whatever they want, whenever they want, right? But no one should be able to limit them. They're being hypocrites on purpose. Like,
all right, fair enough. All right, back to the video.
Crime and a hate incident are two different things too. And I wanted to say, like, if somebody called you, the F word, and then they said they wanted to kill you, then that's a hate crime.
Bingo.
And that's not protected, right?
Correct.
But a hate incident, somebody could call you an F word and not say they want to kill you, and that's still protected.
Exactly. It can be an aggravating circumstance to an existing crime, but you can call somebody whatever you want, and it's not.
I often criticize my own political party.
All right, for the chat and the panel, I often criticize my own political party. I am exempting myself from this. I just learned months ago I am a moderate. I'm in the middle of the stuff, but I have been voting for the last 5 years. So let's go back to the question. I often criticize my own political party. I'm just gonna say, I criticize everybody. I don't care.
I think like progressives necessarily criticize left. So yes.
You get an opinion. You get an opinion. You get an opinion. I throw it out everywhere.
Yeah, you get to. Politics are worldwide. They're an identity in America, unfortunately, because we're such a young country. Other countries struggle with seeing why Americans are so politically engaged because other countries have history. They have an actual background. You guys have things to fall back on. Here in America, it's like politics is our identity, unfortunately, and that's what causes such tribal polarization. I would say, as far as the question goes, I mean, I'm highly critical of the people in my party. I do draw a line at extremism. Once again, if I'm going to criticize somebody, I'm going to criticize them with evidence. I'm going to criticize them with reason. Even when you talk about the Joe Biden thing, when people are like, he's too old, I look more at his policies and what he's accomplished as a president, and that's what matters to me. And I hear a lot of people in the left criticizing his age, and that's not. Look, if Home Depot has a 97-year-old CEO, but Home Depot makes $37 billion a year, no one gives a shit how old he is. And that's how I feel about the presidency. If Joe Biden is surrounding himself with people that do things bring to the forefront stuff like the Chips and Science Act, the Infrastructure Act, the American Recovery Act, Safer Communities Act, all of these great pieces of legislation that mean incredible things for the next century of the Americans' economy. That's what matters to me. And I do see people on the left criticizing Biden for his age rather than his policy, and I will criticize them for that.
All right, fair enough. Inky, same question. I often criticize my own political party. Yay or nay? Inky, are you there?
I go both ways. I've done the same.
Nice. All right, shout out to you. She says she goes both ways. This is for Inky.
Speaking of, hitting it and, getting the game right to get the ladies, when you come home from a long day of work, when you're tired and your girl looks at you and, you're having a little trouble down there sometimes because you're so damn tired, testosterone levels might be low. You see that blue pill on that corner of the edge of your seat? Please take that Blue Chew or Cialis. Enter code word Blue Chew or Cialis and get 15 to 20% off. If you're a first-time customer, you'll get 40% off. $15.99. Bingo.
Love it. Was that an ad?
Yeah, we're promoting Blue Chew. We're promoting the wine. I got the Fiji bar. It's a story behind all of it. I promise.
All right, doing
it's
good.
Story behind all of it.
Dude,
Yeah, that's called capitalism.
Right, it is.
But yeah, thank you, Inky. She says she goes both ways. Appreciate you. All right, so back to the video.
3, 2, 1.
Oh.
I see that you're on the disagree side.
I am.
Like,
I'm sitting here
what
listening.
brought you there?
What brought me here is because I tend to be a more, I guess you could say, traditional conservative in that I don't like to speak ill of my own party. I just don't. For me to go out and air their dirty laundry out where everyone can see it is only going to put a blemish on them. And I always want to put my best foot forward, and I always want to put my party's best foot forward. But I will point out the instances where I disagree with them privately so that they can make the necessary changes.
I've got to ask. I'm so sorry.
Okay, let me.
Is he on the right or the left?
He's the right. He's a conservative.
Yeah, because I was going to address it because he said air out dirty laundry. Like he's like, I don't want to put this on, but this is what I'm saying. I feel like he's like a blind loyalist, just cause, like without even not even questioning anything, without even addressing things. Like, yo, you're this, me too. Let's go.
That's right wingers. That's like, to me, that's like all right wing. That is, on one side, I think it's like a major failure, and it makes the right pretty much like a deaf and dumb cult. But at the same time, I think it's sort of a strength of theirs that the left doesn't have, right? Because they are so tribalistic. Like, their leaders could do anything and they will find a way to justify it, to support their leader, to support their team, right? Like they don't care at all.
Commit treason.
Yeah. Treason.
But you know what I was going to ask though? I was going to ask like what he meant by the dirty laundry, because like, so you can't have a conversation with the other person. So if that person says something that you're against, you're just gonna like a raw attack him. Like I'm trying to understand like what he meant by
for example, Jesse Lee Peterson. Now we know that he intentionally was trying to turn straight men by sexually engaging with them. Okay, we know this because multiple, one of which was underage at the time, have come out and told their stories about Jesse Lee Peterson. Have you heard a single solitary right-wing commenter talk about it at all? No. You know why? Because they do not air their dirty laundry. They just pretend it doesn't exist until the hype dies down and then they move on. Ali Alexander, that is a story I covered. I didn't see the right talk about it ever. Period. They will not address these things like they just don't exist. And then hopefully you just think it goes away. So the fact that so many in the right wing bobbleheads are pedos, or they are gay, or they are cross-dressing, they're drag queens. There's something that they literally preach about, right? They're so anti all these things, and yet they're doing it in their spare time. Yeah, you never hear the right ever talk about that, right? Because they never will. They're never going to talk about it because they don't air their own side's dirty laundry. That's why I asked if he was on the right or on the left, because it would make perfect sense if he was on the right, because that's how they deal with things.
Fair enough. Jeez.
You said you were a Trump supporter, right?
Yes.
This must be like
there you go.
Oh,
hold on. I have to help the right a little bit on this one. There is a difference between being a conservative and being a Trump supporter. There is a difference. I think this is important because you take somebody like Laura Loomer, who's a Trump supporter, who she posted on X not too long ago. If Donald Trump doesn't win, I will never vote again because the only person I will ever vote for is Donald Trump. And that's a QAnon thing. The right is a weird amalgamation. It's very splintered, but kind of somehow gelled together with hate and vitriol. So you have moderate conservatives, you have Barry Goldwater traditional conservatives, and then as you get further and further out on the spectrum, you get to like your evangelicals, and then eventually you get so far right that you're off the screen. And those are Trump supporters. And even there's two types of Trump supporters. There's Trump supporters that are people that thought, oh, he's going to shake up the system. It's going to be different. He's not a politician. It's like they kind of he's a great white hope for the right. And then if you go even further right than them, you get QAnon. Once you're into the QAnon cult, that is, these people do not have a political ideology or bone in their body. They only care about Donald Trump or anybody that Donald Trump tells them to support. I'm not making that up. You can, like I've said before, I don't want you to ever take anything I say as being factual. You should look it up. There is plenty of evidence. There's plenty of QAnon people on camera saying, I will vote for no one but Donald Trump. So if he's a Trump supporter, that actually makes a lot of sense because Donald Trump has a lot of things that he doesn't want people to talk about. And for that dude to be like, oh, it's not a good idea for me to air out his laundry. Yeah, that makes total sense.
That's right. It's just Trump supporters are the right wing on crack, but they all do it. They all do it. You can't convince me they don't. Okay, sorry. I had to say it.
To be fair, we gotta get some. We gotta have one day because I know Travis Fools, Inky, West. I want to say because I don't want to put words in their mouth saying supporters, but I know Travis said. Well, Travis definitely said he's a straight Trump supporter. So one day we gotta have like.
Yeah, Wes is a Trump supporter.
Okay. We definitely got to have
he's
those
not a
guys
QAnon
on.
cult member though.
No, yeah, he's not. He's not. He's pretty much on the conservative side, supporter of Trump, and he's a little bit one of the sides. He's not a moderate though. So.
What is Inky? Inky, do you mind sharing your political affiliation? I don't even know.
Yeah, I'm a Republican.
You know what the funny thing is that I think that most of the time, and then every once in a while, you have an opinion that makes me think you're on the left. So I think I just never knew.
but that's a normal political party. Like on the right and the left for ages, and this is why Trump supporters refer to the left and right as being a uniparty, because that's the new like big thing is to the right is kind of tired of our crazy antics now, so now we're gonna claim that they're just both the same. And obviously this is what this show is about, so this is mildly important, is that the left and the right generally for the past 2 decades, were similar, but had some very contrasting beliefs when it came to incredibly important topics like how to handle immigration, how to handle the economy, how big government versus small government, pro-life versus pro-choice. But the difference is, as I established before, I think I've even talked about on the show, my first podcast was with primary Republican candidate John Anthony Castro. He's a Republican, but he's a Barry Goldwater Republican. So that means that he's really financially conservative. So on some of the things that it comes to taxes and stuff like that, me and him actually have pretty close beliefs. And a bunch of people on the left would actually say to me like, oh, you're right because of that. That's what they talked about earlier today. They're saying earlier in the show, you can get labeled as far right or far left just for like saying something that your tribe doesn't agree with. That's why I don't like saying I'm part of a party. I'm not part of a party.
Yeah, even the trigger, like most people get very triggered because again, I was guilty of that. Like I wasn't judgmental, but like say, Trump fools have a great rapport. Me Inky vibes well. A lot of conversations I have on her end, like we just agree to a lot. Or if it would never really be a disagreement. It's like, okay, well, let's add more context and layers to it to make it fit a little bit better. But down the line, it's like, oh well, I voted for Trump. It's like, okay, cool. I would never know, but that's pretty much how I just leave it from there. And you can tell most people just like a hardcore extremist with their political views on it. But yeah, it is what it is. It's not that serious. All right, back to the video.
The most about him, then, right? Because isn't Trump like the most
But
like
here-
anti-Republican attacks?
But here's the thing: I come from a community where we found our power in local government. I've separated myself from this idea that I'm going to speak poorly about Trump because I want him to put his best foot forward.
I wish more liberals did that, to be honest. I think a lot of liberals, we tend to bash our party on the social media platforms, or when we protest a lot, right? But I think when it comes to going to these city council meetings, going to Congress, writing our elected officials, we tend to fall back on that, and we rely on social media, and we rely on demonstrations.
There is a lot of infighting on the right.
Yeah, I agree with that. Even right now, we'll leave this like with final thoughts because we have the 2-hour marker. I highly agree with that because it's coming to the point now. Everybody's more focused on social media, even with something JP said earlier with just testing a lot of stuff that he says. Media now, whether it's TikTok, YouTube, Rumble, it's like the new resource of news. It's the new journalism for most people, and they'll just stay on it, listen to one person without the fact checking, or look for other sources, and then they just rock with them just cause. So that is my thought with that one. Inky, do you have anything to say with what the gentleman just said earlier?
No, sir.
All right. Inky, JP?
As far as what he just said?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like that guy saying that liberals, eat their own. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. We're very how can I say it? Very critical of each other, and I think that's a good thing. I think that's how you progress, is that you self-analyze, you look at the things that you do and the people around you, and you hold them accountable. So I think that's important, but I think it's also important to realize that people are also very nuanced and complicated as human beings, and no one should ever fit themselves in a cookie cutter. So when I know somebody that's liberal and they say something that's conservative, it doesn't at all freak me out. I just kind of go, yeah, that's you're just a human being. I think that as far as the right goes right now, though, if you really want to talk about some infighting, that guy is correct. The right is at a point right now where they are literally destroying the Republican Party from the inside out, and it will either survive as being the party of Donald Trump, or it will come out the other side of a shambles, and one day may come back to some source of sanity. But at this point right now, when you have people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, George Santos, Matt Gaetz, Jim Jordan, Lauren Boebert, and all these people that are literally infighting like it's a Jerry Springer show, punching each other in the kidneys, Kevin McCarthy, like it's not a good look. And I root for the right to get their shit together because I root for America. I think that a dysfunctional Republican Party is a bad look for America. It makes up 40 to 50% of the United States of America, and we can't have half of America burning down everything around them. So I root for them to get better.
All right, fair enough. Ruby, unless you want me to wait because I know you're munching, but while you're munching, let me say this. Friction Vixen, love you. Is every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Central Time. We had this conversation. I do you the same way I do Inky because I have love for you. If I didn't, I would never go the extra mile. I send emails. I have some people contact information. I do the call and texting. We're probably like the only oddball out of everybody else. She's like, hey, this is the way you can reach out to me. I make damn sure I reach out there that way. So there'll be no consequences. I even go the extra mile. Let me comment on her because again, we're human, right? I do this on your stuff too. So we get the comments, we get the stuff. I apologize too. If we're not tech savvy, I get it. But at the same time, if anybody have an Apple phone, you should automatically have everything programmed in your calendar.
Message though.
Okay.
Her next message, she says, sorry, I really did want to come up next time you were on. Tonight is my 11-year wedding anniversary, and I've tended to my husband in bed with his surgery wounds.
Oh, I'm sorry. Now I feel like a jerk.
I know, right? That's why I stopped you. I figured you might want
Now
to.
I feel like a jerk. That's like on we was doing like a I'm just gonna I'll take it in the chin. I feel like a jerk now. My
Can I answer
apologies.
somebody's question real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
Sincere, say Sayeda.
Sincere.
Mm-hmm.
We're just gonna call her Sincere. Sincere. If you want to answer that question, Leeja Miller, LeeGaMiller, has a great video about whether or not America is a democracy or a republic, because America is neither a democracy or a republic. It is a mix of both. So if you want to watch a very good, very in-depth, strong explanation, you should check out Leeja Miller.
What was the answer?
That is it truly a republic? No.
Yeah, like you said, it's not either. But then what is it?
It's both. Well, this is the problem. All governments have. This is what I keep saying: is when people want to cookie cutter define things, when they want to say you're a progressive or you're a Republican or you're this or you're that, and you have to stay within these boundaries, or else the moment that you're out of these boundaries, you're no longer that anymore. Nothing stays within boundaries. We have here in America, we have socialist ideals when it comes to the fire department, the police department, the military, Social Security, Medicare, and then we have democratic values. We have republic. We have representatives. There's all kinds of things in our government that represent different other forms of government. And when you say things like it has to be defined as, that's a very human thing to do. It's the way that we control everything. We mow our lawns. We have to rake the forest. We want to control everything, and we want to define things so that way it's simple and we feel like we're in control. But the reality is, as Alan Moore said, no one's in control. My biggest problem with conspiracy theorists is that they think that there's 5 people that are completely in control of everything. And the actual reality of the situation is the world is rudderless. Nobody's in control. I've been in management for 20 years. I can tell you that it's hard enough to manage like 6, 12, 20, 30, 50 people. Attempting to manage an entire world, good luck with that. So
yeah, even Cat Williams. Anybody that ever watched the recent interview with him, he literally said the same thing. He said to be honest, the so-called top hierarchies, whatever, is all morons. He's like they're all morons.
Yeah,
so
that's the fucking truth.
People that got their hands on the nuclear button and the codes, they are morons. So why are so
that's
much
the
faith in
scary
these people?
part? Yeah.
That is scary. Ruby, do you have any comments to the video? Any final thoughts? And then we'll get to Inky, and then we will.
Ooh, hold on. What was?
I can play it back.
Yeah, no, now I don't even remember what the last thing he said was. So I mean, I could have final thoughts, but I don't remember what
he said. He said that liberals tend to be better at not infighting, and that the right is actually, tearing itself apart.
Yeah. Correct. So I don't know if anyone ever noticed this, but you can look, and there's been a lot of video essays coming out about how BreadTube is ripping itself apart, and they're all infighting, like all of them. If you look at, for example, Destiny, right? Destiny and Vosh and Papa Gut are all like the same character, and none of them are talking to each other. It's amazing. It's amazing to watch how much the left is not talking to each other. So, I guess, and you could be like, oh yeah, but they're just different people. No, they were friends, right? They were all in Destiny's chat at the beginning, and they all fell out. Just likewise, when you're looking at, like, say, Candace and all of those people and Ben and whatever, right? They were all on the same network, right? And then they fell out, and people are trying to say, yeah, but they're friends. No, like, these are not your friends, okay? We're not friends, right? Like, okay, we're all cool, but we're not friends, right? These are not people that I spend all my personal private time with outside of here. We hang out, we have shared holidays together, we share all of our secrets, and
literally had that conversation with somebody.
Yeah, right?
Literally had that conversation.
Right. We're not friends, right? We're not. And people need to recognize that. All the talking heads that you see out there for the left or the right, even if they're big or whatever, all the political people, they're all cool with each other. All of them. The left is cool with the right's cool with the right. It doesn't matter. They're all cool, but they're not friends. Okay? We're not friends with each other. It's just we're all in the same position. So we're all peers. We're all coworkers in a way, right? It's to your benefit to be cool with other people. If you start getting yourself caught up in the drama and putting your emotional feelings and taking everyone's thoughts or opinions or their own movements as far as what they would like to gain politically today or whatever, you start taking that all personally, then you become a joke. Right? So if you want to stay politically like viable, relevant, whatever, then you're going to separate yourself from that. And that's sometimes going to mean that your audience hates that person, and it's going to be in your best interest for you to also hate that person. Because again, it's all about this. It's not about y'all aren't friends. And if you are, you can still be privately friends even while publicly you hate each other, right? Like it's.
I literally had somewhat of that conversation with somebody just in real life, like same way like me and you have to question each other, Ruby. I question my actual real friends too. Like if they come to me with some crap, I'm like, really? How? What? When? Where? How? You got to ask questions with people, even if you're close friends. You just can't just run and take their word for it. But I don't know. People are weird on in the media space. Nikki, final thought. What Friction Fix is, shout out to her. She says, Ruby, I got a lot of respect for you. I like you, but you know way too much. Celebrate. She read a lot.
No, but see, that's the thing. I think that's a super interesting thing to say about me, because anyone who knows me knows I, on average, know way less pop culture and way less celebrity stuff than just the average person. I have a very hard time even identifying stars and stuff like that, even ones that like I've liked
That's a new one
or something.
Yeah.
But I'm not really great. Actually, I know very little celebrity and pop culture knowledge. So I just thought it was like super fascinating that of all the things you could say about me, that would be it. Because it's like,
yeah, you take that compliment. You take that compliment. All right, you take it.
Yeah.
You say you hip to the game now. You hip to the game. Inky, you have any final thoughts of the conversation at hand and what we reacted to?
So my overall comment, and I'm not sure if this is exactly what we were addressing, but having the free speech, yes, but there should be limitations as long as it's not putting anybody in danger, as far as like physical danger. It's not like destroying someone's credibility. Not saying that if the person is wrong, yes, I get that, but if it's someone like falsifying information, derogatory information, I don't agree with that, or putting someone in physical danger. As far as the LGBTQ community, they have every right to be however they want to be. My only judgment on that is, it shouldn't be introduced to children until children have, their brains have fused and they're not even children at that point. So that was my only comment on that whole topic.
Okay.
I think everyone should have a right to free speech and, make their judgment calls as they wish.
All right. Fair enough.
It doesn't physically affect anybody.
I appreciate that. Fair enough. Appreciate everybody for coming through. Definitely appreciate JP. Since you said you have vacation, so it's an honor to me, sir. I actually want to get the old gang back together, but we'll make time we got to make time for that one.
JP rocks, by the way. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You rock. You guys are awesome. I mean, you guys let me come up on here, and I appreciate you guys having me on here. So I'm a kid that grew up in a trailer park with no water, no toilet, living in a bus with no electricity. So I'm
nice.
Where I'm at now, living here right now, being on here with you guys. I appreciate everything I have, and I appreciate you guys letting me be on here.
All right, that means the world to me, man. So I definitely appreciate that. I'm gonna try to work out because I had like 2 segments to get the fellas together for the Let's Laugh at the Red Pill boxing match. There's this new stuff I know you brought up before, so we got to find time for that one. Definitely got to find time for because I've been slowly working on trying to get debates together. Since it's here now in the chat, because Inky was a mod for the last 2-on-2 debate, which she liked. It was really fun. So try to get more of those out. Just because I had coffee and I am wired and I am fired up. So I want to ask them to stay here. So it's not for them, but I will be doing a conversation in about 20 minutes. And this will be the conversation topic of conversation. Where's this face at? We will be talking about Jonathan Major's interview. And then Cat Williams has something to say right behind it. So if you're more than welcome, want to stay, you want that link, Friction, Sincere, Who else in here? JP, Ruby, of course, Inky. If you're a night owl and you want to be down for this conversation, because there's a lot going on. and the newscast, they think they slick. Because I'm sitting there downloading and screen recording everything. And then next thing you know, there's hey, we have more interview at 7:00 p.m. I was like, oh, I got to wait. So the interview, they did like an extra 17-minute interview. It was really good, Sincere. So it was a lot of pieces together. So that's what we'll be doing like in 20 minutes. Once we end from here, I will pick it back up and the interview this is what we were discussing and reacting to. So yeah, there's a lot going on there. There's a lot going on. So thank you guys. Appreciate you guys coming through. It really means a lot. Anytime. So again, you're more than welcome for the next one. If you're not, again, totally understand everybody got lives and families and stuff to do. Let me know in the chat or whatever. Ruby, you already know I'll be dropping stuff in your messenger regardless. So yeah, 20 minutes of counting friction. So I appreciate y'all. Sincere, I'll email you too just in case. So it's not warranted, but you're more than welcome to come up for the conversation reaction of it. So all right, so on that one, catch you guys later and peace.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you. A world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible. Where we go from there is a choice I leave to you.